Imagine a workplace where managers act less like authoritarian bosses and more like supportive leaders. For Generation Z and Millennials, who are today's workforce, this isn't wishful thinking. It's a growing expectation. Greetings, my name is Paul from the Management as a Liberal Art Foundation, and the topic of today's short talk is Management Must Change. Our futures depend on it. This is an introduction to some MLA concepts, so let's begin. Peter Drucker, the father of modern management, observed decades ago the rise of a new breed of younger, educated workers. These people were challenging the traditional economic and power relationships in organizations. Unlike their grandparents, who might have tolerated command and control bosses, the young employees of today won't settle for the old ways. Why? Because as Drucker put it, making a living is no longer enough. Work also has to make a life. In other words, people today seek meaning, respect, and growth from their jobs, and they know that outdated management principles stand in the way. It's becoming clear that management must change, and our futures depend on it. To understand why the authoritarian boss era is ending, it helps to know about how it all began. For most of history, working people served a master, which is an owner or noble who had absolute power. Even early factory workers in the 19th century still labored for an owner, not an impersonal company. It was only in the 20th century, with the rise of large corporations, that the master was replaced by a boss. Oftentimes, this was just an employee with a higher rank. This corporate boss inherited the old master's authority, but without that personal trust or loyalty that sometimes helps soften those traditional relationships. The result was a management culture of command and control, bosses giving orders and workers expected to obey. That top-down model might have worked in an assembly line era, but times have changed. We live in the age of the knowledge worker, a term that Drucker coined for employees whose specialized knowledge is the key to organizational success. Knowledge workers simply do not fit the old boss-subordinate dynamic. In Drucker's words, once beyond the apprentice stage, knowledge workers must know more about their job than their boss does, or else they are no good at it. In many fields today, the frontline employees, aka the engineers, the nurses, the analysts, the developers, they are the experts on the job, while managers might not have done those exact jobs before. That means a traditional boss can no longer bark orders and expect optimal results. He or she needs the team's knowledge and initiative in order to succeed. Additionally, modern workers have options. Mobility is higher than ever. Skilled employees can leave jobs that don't meet their needs. Drucker noted that many people now must be managed as if they were volunteers, because unlike the past, they won't stick around just for a paycheck. If a boss resorts to intimidation or rigid control, employees can, and often do, disengage or leave. As Drucker warned, a knowledge organization can easily sabotage even the outbiest, let alone the most autocratic superior. In short, authoritarian management backfires in today's environment. It crushes the very motivation and creativity that knowledge workers require, leading to poor results. So why is the boss era ending? Because it has been made obsolete by education, technology, and social change. Workers have higher expectations and organizations need their people more than ever. In today's knowledge economy, they, meaning organizations, need the knowledge worker far more than the knowledge worker needs them. The balance of power is shifting. The COVID-19 pandemic and the rise of remote work only accelerated this trend, highlighting that people will prioritize workspaces that treat them with respect and trust. Simply put, command and control is collapsing under its own ineffectiveness, and a new paradigm of management is emerging to take its place. Now, if bossing people around no longer works and is very ineffective, what do employees, especially the Gen Z and Millennial generation, really expect from their leaders? We can summarize their expectations in a few key qualities. Number one, integrity and trust. Young workers insist on honesty and consistency from their managers. As Drucker famously said, the final requirement of effective leadership is to earn trust. And trust is built upon something very old-fashioned called integrity. It means aligning one's actions with one's words. A leader who plays favorites, breaks promises, or bends the rules will quickly lose credibility. By contrast, a leader who means what they say, upholds clear values, earns the confidence and loyalty of their team. Integrity is non-negotiable. With a skeptical younger workforce, anything less leads to cynicism and disengagement. Number 2, empathy and respect. The new generation wants managers who care about them as people. That involves listening, understanding diverse perspectives, and supporting employees' well-being. Drucker suggested that managing people today is akin to a marketing challenge. One does not begin with the question, what do we want? One begins with, what does the other party want? And what are their values? Great leaders take time to get to know their team members, their strengths, their struggles, and their professional goals. This empathetic approach validates employees' humanity. It also pays off in performance because people who feel respected are far more motivated to do great work. 3, transparency. Open communication and transparency are paramount. Younger employees expect to be informed about the why behind decisions and changes. Gone are the days when managers could just hoard information as a form of power. Drucker wrote that an effective organization has to be transparent. People have to know and have to understand the organization structure they are supposed to work in. This principle applies not just to org charts, but to communication in general. Share information, explain decisions, and invite dialogue. When leaders are transparent, they build trust and reduce the rumor mill and anxiety that secrecy breeds. Transparency signals that we are all in this together, which is exactly what young teams tend to want to hear. Number 4, vision and purpose. Perhaps most importantly, today's workforce is inspired by visionary leadership. They want to know that their work matters in a bigger picture. A compelling vision gives work meaning beyond the daily grind. Drucker emphasized that every enterprise requires commitment to common goals and shared values. The mission of the organization has to be clear enough and big enough to provide common vision. In practical terms, this means a good manager communicates a clear mission, aka this is where we're going and why it's important. They also connect each person's role to that mission, which is aka this is how you are helping us get there. Young employees crave the sense of purpose. It's what turns a job into a passion. As Drucker observed, they need to know the organization's mission and to believe in it. Visionary leaders paint a picture of an exciting future and invite the team to help build it. That's far more motivating than any fear of the boss's wrath. In summary, integrity, empathy, transparency, and vision form the foundation of modern leadership. These qualities validate what young professionals already believe, that anything less, whether it's a dishonest boss, a tone-deaf manager, or a secretive executive, or someone who leads with no vision or no direction, will lead to poor results and a toxic workplace. Conversely, when managers embody these traits, they unlock their team's full potential. People will go the extra mile for leaders they trust and ideals they believe in. So what does the future of management look like? In a word, partnership. A manager of tomorrow is not a task manager. They are servant leaders and a partner to their team. Drucker foresaw this shift, noting that increasingly, employees have to be managed as partners. And it's the definition of a partnership that all partners are equal. Partners cannot be ordered. They have to be persuaded. In practical terms, the role of a manager is evolving from giving orders to offering guidance, support, and motivation. The best managers work with their people, not over them. Think of a great manager more like a coach or an orchestra conductor. The conductor doesn't play the instruments. Instead, they set the tempo, unify the players, and bring out the best in each section. This is actually one of Drucker's analogies, the orchestra model. The leader, which is the conductor, provides the vision or the score everyone is playing from, and then trusts the team of experts to perform their parts brilliantly. If something goes wrong, the leader takes feedback and adjusts the direction, rather than blaming or micromanaging. This servant leader mindset flips the old pyramid upside down. Managers exist to empower their teams, remove roadblocks, and cultivate talent. The benefits of this approach are huge. When employees feel treated as partners, they take ownership of their work. They're more likely to share ideas, tackle problems proactively, and collaborate because they know their contributions are valued. Over time, a servant leader builds a culture of trust and high performance, where people are not afraid to innovate or speak up. Drucker noted that knowledge workers are rarely in sync with each other, precisely because they are knowledge workers. It takes a special kind of talent and leadership to unite individuals who have independent expertise. Servant leaders achieve that unity by appealing to shared goals and values, rather than using fear or formal authority. Importantly, servant leaders are not soft on results. It's smart on results. By focusing on people and principles, it creates conditions for superior outcomes. Remember, Drucker taught that the task of management is to make people capable of joint performance, to make their strengths effective and their weaknesses irrelevant. That's exactly what happens when managers lead as partners. They unlock each person's strengths, coordinate them towards a common mission, and mitigate weaknesses through teamwork. In such an environment, success isn't forced. It flows naturally from an engaged, empowered workforce. The transition from bossism to true leadership won't happen overnight, but it's happening. We can see it in companies that ditch rigid hierarchies in favor of agile teams, in managers who spend more time coaching than issuing orders, in employees who are finding their voice and demanding better leadership. There's every reason to be hopeful that our workplaces can change for the better. As young leaders rise through the ranks, they carry with them these new expectations and values. They are poised to put into practice what pioneers like Drucker long advocated, treating people as the organization's greatest asset. But hope alone isn't enough. Young leaders don't learn in a vacuum. They learn by watching the managers before them. If all they've ever seen is control, fear, and politics, those are the plays they're gonna copy when it's their turn to lead. It's like sports. Players who grew up under bad coaches often repeat the same bad habits when they themselves become coaches. Unless someone breaks the pattern, the cycle continues. That means we, the current generation of managers, have a responsibility to do better now. We can't just complain about the system and expect the next generation to magically fix it. We have to model the kind of leadership we say we believe in, to lead with integrity, empathy, transparency, and vision. If we don't, we shouldn't be surprised when the next generation does the exact same things that we did. Ultimately, embracing this new management paradigm is not just good for employee morale, it's crucial for organizational survival. In a fast-changing, knowledge-driven world, no company can afford to have demoralized, disempowered workers. The old style of management isn't just unpleasant, it's ineffective. The future belongs to those who can inspire trust, foster collaboration, and lead with vision and empathy. Or as Peter Drucker put more succinctly, one does not manage people. The task is to lead people, and the goal is to make productive the specific strengths and knowledge of each individual. I hope this short talk was informative, but I'd love to know what you think. Please leave your comments below. I'll do my best to respond to as many as I can. If you found this video helpful, please share it with somebody who you think would benefit from this type of message or this type of information. It's your efforts that really help this channel grow. Thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. Till next time, take care.